Good afternoon and welcome to yet another webinar. I'll give you guys some time to join in while you go grab a cup of coffee, a glass of water. In the meantime, I'll go through some housekeeping rules. Please remember that this webinar will be recorded and we will be sending a follow-up email with the recording and also some of the live questions that we will be answering today. There's a Q&A box in the lower middle part of your screen where you can send us your questions and we will be tackling those towards the end of the presentation. All right, so I think a lot of people have joined us. We're here in Santiago today, back at the studio, and let's do some introductions. So, as usual, myself, I am Renato Marin. I am the sales manager for the B2C channel. I've been working with Antarctica21 for over 6 years now, and I've been helping people get to this amazing destination, get familiar with the seventh continent. First time with us, we've invited Valerie Kronberg. She's the Director of People and Corporate Affairs at Antarctica21. And yes, welcome, Valerie. I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Renato. Hi, everybody. I'm very happy to be here with you. Well, I'm Valerie Kronberg. I'm Chilean. I live now in Punta Arenas for already, I've been living there for 5 years, almost 6. I have 2 beautiful children. I studied business and administration and economics, but actually my whole career I've been working mostly in people and organization areas, and always very connected to sustainability strategies, sustainability activities, because I strongly believe that sustainability starts from the inside, having that culture inside, that mindset in all the company that really permits and allows to have a deeply intention and to have to all this kind of subjects to be real and not just a claim,
Exactly.
and also because it starts inside with our talent. Our talent has to be sustainable in the long run. If we are not okay, how can we try to make things in the outside? So, well, very happy to be here, and I'm working at Antarctica21 since last year, and well, leading the sustainability strategy. And I wanted to make the disclaimer that this is just a role that articulates all the efforts, activities of the company, because actually we work this very, very together with all the areas. We have a sustainability committee, and we have important leaders of every area: operations, sales, fleet, and finance. We all together build what sustainability in Antarctica21 is. So I'm just a representative here, talking to you about these things that actually are from all our teams.
Well, those are some very interesting concepts that you're grasping there, and we will be going in depth in some of them. All right, so as you know, today it's about sustainability, and more than that, it's a journey of our journey inside the sustainability as a company. And some of the main topics for today's webinar are how sustainability shapes every Antarctic journey, why small-scale expeditions make a meaningful difference, our approach to responsible travel in Antarctica, key sustainability initiatives across our environmental, social, and governance efforts, the impact of the Antarctica21 Foundation, and to end a live Q&A session to answer your questions. But first, let's talk a bit about us. So today's webinar is geared towards both our guests, potential guests, and our trade partners that help us resell our trips worldwide. So you might be already familiar with Antarctica21, but as a quick reminder, you all know that we are the pioneers of the Antarctic air cruise model. We've been operating air cruises for 23 years already. That's quite a bit. And the benefits of taking an air cruise versus crossing the Drake Passage, you can sum them up in comfort, speed, and exclusivity, right? So avoiding the Drake Passage, making the most of your time in Antarctica, and also the scale of what you're doing with us. We are 100% experts of Antarctic air cruises. That means that our season is focused on Antarctica, not unlike other polar operators, which operate both the Antarctic and the Arctic, among other regions of the world. We just focus on Antarctica. That being said, we do extend our season a bit by doing some sub-Antarctic trips to the Falklands, to South Georgia, and most recently, the Chilean fjords as well. So, we can stretch that out a little bit. We have Antarctic Flight Advantage that comes from our close partnership with DAP Airways, the provider of Antarctic flights, which in certain conditions allow us to have a preferred travel window. We operate, like I was saying before, we operate small-scale trips. That means that our ships carry less than 100 guests, and that's very important. We will talk a bit about more later, so I don't want to burst that bubble yet. We are the only company that operates not only air cruises, but Antarctic cruises, that is from Punta Arenas, one of the gateways to Antarctica, and a city that has deep history in the exploration of Antarctica and is very, very relevant nowadays, being the home port of a number of scientific programs worldwide. And last but not least, and the reason why we're here today is to talk about how sustainability helps us operate low-impact expeditions. So that's, with that being said, Valerie, I want to pose the question of why is sustainability so important in Antarctica?
Well, thank you, Renato. I think we all know, it's known in the world that Antarctica is one of the most pristine places left in the world. So it has this special meaning. Mm-hmm. And it's more than that because, you say no other species are there. It's very, remain largely untouched. Correct. But also, it's not only that it's like this bubble, but it's also this bubble so connected with the rest of the planet. That's true. A lot of scientists, they like to say Antarctica is like the heart of the planet. Like our heart, it pumps blood in the rest of our body. What happens in Antarctica, the currents in the ocean, it impacts all the planet. So it has this double special meaning, and it's very significant. So, from the beginning, the partners, the owners, the ones that started with the company, they were very convinced, and genuinely they wanted to make it with a lower impact, to make a very conscious trip to Antarctica.
They had a lot of foresight by creating a model whose value proposition took into consideration size and scale. Mm-hmm. And if you take that to Antarctica being one of the last frontiers for travel, one of the most remote places in our planet, and how it has been kept as a place for science, for research, for global collaboration. I think one of the special characteristics of this place is that it's governed not by one country, but by the Antarctic Treaty, a body that encompasses a number of countries worldwide. And I think that's some of the reasons why sustainability is so important, not only for Antarctica, but for our whole planet, because even though there is impact in what we do, it is our actions worldwide that also impact Antarctica, right?
Yeah, and if we don't know it, it's more difficult to really protect it,
right?
Yeah, we will talk about it probably later more deeply. But you said that the thing of the scale. From the beginning, our scale is small and always less than 100 passengers, and it has been 23 years, and it's easy to say, okay, let's go bigger, and like other companies, just bigger vessels, and no, the scale is always small, and that's a decision. That's not that's an option. It's not like just random. So
and for us, during 23 years, we've stick to that value proposition, less than 100 gas. As all of you know, we're not the only ones doing this anymore, which I believe it's the biggest compliment that you can have. If you're doing something and then other companies copy that, it must be because you're doing something well. But yes, the scale that other companies do it is at least double or more. So definitely important that, like I was saying, they had that foresight to stick to this business model, and it's working because it also allows us to make it sustainable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
So we want our sustainability to be a pillar of our Antarctic experience. And in order to make that, we want to show how it shapes every journey that we take. I mentioned before that the continent of Antarctica is governed by the Antarctic Treaty. But it's not only the Antarctic Treaty that regulates the activities in Antarctica, or in our case, our operations. So at a very high level, Valerie, which are the other organizations that regulate our activity over there?
Yeah, well, we are a part of AYATO, the Association of Tourism Operators of Antarctica. AYATO was born an arm from the Antarctic Treaty. Not, almost all the big ones, but some small vessels that go to Antarctica, they are not part of AYATO because it's voluntary. It's a
self-regulated organization.
And we are, AYATO is this self-regulated association, and all the guidelines and the framework we have with AYATO are very, very important, very relevant. We will then, describe a lot of examples of what we make because of AYATO, and we want to go, beyond. Take AYATO and go also beyond. So we are a part of AYATO, and also we have all the IMO regulations in our vessels. IMO, the maritime associations. So that's the emissions we can make. The waste management, all that kind of stuff are regulated by IMO, and wildlife, biosecurity protocols, all that are regulated by AYATO. Also the landings,
Correct.
A lot of
So I think it's important to know because sometimes I get the feeling that people believe that there's no regulation going on in Antarctica because it's not, no one has sovereignty over there. But it's actually very stringent, and it takes
very strict, yeah.
So, and like you said, let's take a look at what this actually means for people traveling with us, right, for our guests. So the first one would be the biosecurity protocols, and this is dictated by AYATO. What are some of these protocols and guidelines that people can expect when going to Antarctica?
Well, first of all, I think you said it, but the 100 and less passengers scale, it allows us to go ashore. AYATO, it says, okay, no more than 100 people ashore on the same time. So that's like the first big guideline. And then, the beginning, we have the briefing, so we have to educate all our guests, because one thing is to say, okay, take care of your boots, or don't get too close to wildlife, but another thing is to really understand it and the importance, and that's why we give a lot of priority to good education, good briefing, good lectures, so the people is really conscious and aware, and it's not just a rule, that they understand what behind that rule. The
purpose behind this.
Yeah, the purpose behind. And other examples, for example, we have this guideline of 5 meters, from wildlife. You don't approach to wildlife ever. If wildlife approaches to you, okay, but you never put it. In the kayaks, for example, and other marine situations, always more than 100 meters away. Flash photography is not allowed. You cannot knee on Antarctica, and I think that's like principal, all the biosecurity protocols are the ones that are also very important before you travel. All the clothes is vacuumed and cleaned, so you don't bring microorganisms or things to Antarctica. The boots also, we provide boots to all of our guests, so we assure these boots don't bring anything to Antarctica. And well, every landing, after every landing, boots are again washed, so that's also very strict.
Exactly. No, indeed. So to summarize, before someone goes to Antarctica, they have to go through a biosecurity station. This normally happens in Punta Arenas, in Explorers House, our private guest facility. Then you have to attend a mandatory briefing about regulations to understand behind this. And then alongside our capacity, it comes the benefit that only 100 people can go ashore, so we don't need to do any rotations, any turns in order for that to happen, so you're maximizing your time in Antarctica. And then because of this, we can also access landing sites that other companies with bigger ships just can't.
Yeah.
So then that's just practical information. Here you can see where we stand when it comes to the size of ships and what you can expect. So it's 76 to 96 guests. That means that for air cruises it's 76, and then for sea voyages that goes up to 96. And when you compare that with traditional expedition ships, it's almost it says here up to 200, but average is almost twice, so 120 and upwards, right?
Yeah.
And then you can just see, how it goes up, and then it limits even the possibility to disembark in Antarctica.
And you say, the possibility to disembark, to go ashore, but we see it, we have been there, right, Renato, and it's much more than just landing, less than 100 people. It's the guides, for example. We have high ratio guides and guests, so all can be better controlled with less than 100 people. All can be better controlled. So the goal of leaving no trace in Antarctica is much easier when you have less people, so you can be more close to each one. So there's a lot of different perspectives where this smaller scale helps us in all our sustainability efforts.
Definitely.
I love to remember I was, scout when I was a little girl, and we had this claim always when we were camping, and we said, okay, you have to leave the place where you camp at least so great or better of what you how you found it. So after each camping, we had to watch very carefully the grass or the earth, did I leave anything here after putting my things again together. And when I entered to Antarctica21, I felt the same way. I remembered my scout time. I said, hey, here our mission is to leave this place exactly as we found it, or hopefully a little bit better, because sometimes, if we can take a sample and give it to the science, maybe we can, or if everyone who all the guests, they go home with more conscious and more passionate about it, then maybe it's not the same, but a little bit better. So that's the mission.
I think probably as a mother of two, that also doubles down as what you want, the legacy you want to leave for your family behind you and for everyone else. So, and I think this relates very well to the next topic, which is why small scale, which is related, but the topic would be why small scale expeditions make a meaningful difference. One that you were saying is that it makes for a more immersive journey, and this has many sides to it. We already talked about the access to landing locations that bigger ships simply cannot go to, not only because of capacity, because of regulation. Also, like you were mentioning, the guest to guide ratio, which in our case is 1:6 at 76 guest capacity. And that means, like you're saying, you go ashore and every guide gets split between 6 guests more or less. So if someone goes out of the way, it's just easier to control that. If someone is not doing something they shouldn't be doing, you can call that person out. Also on board the ship, normally our staff, they have breakfast, lunch, dinner with you. They share their background, their experience, their life story. It's very common that by the end of the trip, you're on a first name basis with our staff and with most of the guests as well. So that's what the word boutique comes to life, because you're experiencing something that otherwise would not be possible.
Oh yeah, I love that you touched that point, because our staff, because the small scale, the staff can have this interaction constantly with the guests, so it's like a little family that at the end of the trip they all know each other. But an interesting thing is that, or what I also love very much, is that the staff is so passionate about what they are doing that for them it's not just a job. They're really convinced that if they give this great experience, they can change hearts, they can create this life-changing experiences. They really love Antarctica, and they truly want to protect Antarctica. So it's different when you work with this purpose inside. The way you teach, for example, these protocols, it's not just rules, it has this meaning inside.
I think for them it has an ulterior motive. And they are the face of the company ultimately. Sure, like on the commercial side, for example, you see me hosting webinars. In this case, you're here as well. You also have exposure to other outlets. But in the end, like guest-facing experience, it's them. So, of course, they have to represent the values of the company that we're trying to communicate here. And well, last but not least, of course, these small scale allow us to have flexibility in different ways. Weather dictates everything that happens in Antarctica. So by having a small ship, it's quicker to make decisions and that allow going to a different landing site faster, pivoting. So maybe for someone that is just scouting for the idea of doing such a trip, 120 doesn't seem much of a difference, but it can actually be a big difference, and we'll see more examples of that as we continue. So with that being said, let's dive a bit into our approach to responsible travel in Antarctica and what that means. So Valerie, from your point of view and from a strategic point of view, what guiding principles guide us, or not guide us, but are behind our sustainability within our strategy?
Well, I think I said the beginning of this was very organic, very natural, because the partners, the founders of the company, they really believed in it. So it all started, very, very organic. But then the company grows. Now we are, in October, and then in October we will have our Discover ready. We will talk about the Discover there. But first it were charters, then the first vessel, now the second vessel, the own vessel. And then it's necessary to have a policy, to have frameworks, to just not activities decision, but to have standards that we all understand and we all apply in each of our roles. In fact, for example, the construction of the explorers, of the Magellan Explorer, it was because we wanted to have the best standards in the IMO protocols, and with other vessels, charter vessels, it was not possible. But the strategy, so we have this policy, and we don't want to have just a document in the desk of, our
offices.
Our offices. So it was built from the inside by this committee, as I told, and we are guided by these 3 big pillars. It's very common in the sustainability world. We have ESG, environmental, social, and governance, and that's also very important because normally people associate sustainability with environmental. So
Correct.
emissions, impact, environmental impact, emissions. But it's also very important, all the social pillar, because it's our talent,
Correct.
our people, our community. We are the only Antarctic air cruise company that really has this local connection, that was born in Magallanes, and that we have connection with the local people. We have programs, the foundation and other ones, and the foundation, it's a key, very fundamental
I think
organization for us to for working these things, and the governance aspect also, because a few years ago it was a small company, just everything was more informal, but now it's getting bigger, so it's important to have a good governance, clarity, to have procedures, and governance is also a key fact. So, our policy has this 3 pillars, and for us it is a tool for implementing what we believe and understand as sustainable. That's why after launching it, we presented it on March to all the company, and a live event for all, with a workshop there. And now we're having these trainings all this year to all the people to make sure that this policy is well understood and can be applied in every area, from the people in finance and operations and sales and marketing. So that's how we work it.
Well, I think it's important to highlight that, because, like you were saying, sometimes people associate the ESG just with the environmental bit, but it's actually more wide the approach that we have, or that companies should have. So if we take that to our initiatives, where we started and where we're now and where we're going, we will find that the CarbonNeutral Certification was probably alongside the Magellan Explorer back in 2019, one of the first ones. And we've been certified for 6 years. I know that we are the only company that has this certification for this long, that is doing air cruises in Antarctica. So they're the only operator. But what could you tell our audience today? Because they probably see, certified carbon neutral, so you're mitigating what your emissions are, and that's it. But what is our purpose behind just doing that?
Well, carbon neutral for us is just a logo. For a lot of people, it's just buying bonuses. So for us, it's so much more. It was the beginning also of working this in a deeply way, because for us, it's the beginning of measuring, understanding, so have a real strategy that is aware and conscious about the impact and where to prioritize. So, for us, it's the way to measure ourselves. So know, hey, here exactly are my impacts. Here we can reduce. Here we can mitigate. Here it's more difficult. But how can we? What battle can I give first, and what is the next one? So, it helps us a lot to mitigate. So it helps us, for example, the Magellan Explorer had this software, Mallorca, where without changing the engine of the vessel, you could measure, the use of fuel with the different climates and currents, and use the fuel in a much more efficient way, And also it helps our culture a lot, because we measure this every year, so everybody knows, and everybody, when they have a travel, they have to put the kilometers. So all the people say, okay, I'm going to travel. Okay, is this worth it? Maybe, it's the travel, it's worth it because it's this important event, of course, but we make the analysis because we know that every action is being measured.
Exactly.
And then what we cannot mitigate, not reduce, or not this year, maybe the other one, we compensate it, and that's the other part of the certification, because it's not just saying, okay, I buy something, but it's to be intentional as a company and what projects we want to be, what we want to support.
Correct.
So this last 6 years, all the history of this certification, we've been supporting clean energies projects, because it's where we have the bigger impact in the energy and the use of fuel. So we really believe that if we support this, maybe it's just small amount, but if we support clean energies, we will be giving this sign to the market that we believe in clean energies, and we are eager to always evolve and have better technologies that allowed us to mitigate better and have less impact. So
I think one of the key takeaways here is that you cannot improve what you don't measure. And by starting with that, and then you taking different lectures from it, you can build on it and and continue from there on.
It's not a destination, this certificate, but it's our way,
exactly. It's an outlet,
our tool to work it better.
Exactly. And well, at the same time that the company started with the certification, the Magellan Explorer came to be. And like you were saying, in the beginnings of the company, we used to charter these Soviet scientific vessels that after the fall of the Soviet Union, they didn't have any purpose, any use. So a lot of the incipient polar tourism industry started to reconvert them into tourist vessels, right? And well, while they did the trick of helping validate the model and scaling it, at one point it became clear that we needed a vessel that was completely thought for our operation. And that's why the Magellan Explorer came to be. It's purpose-built for Antarctic exploration. And one of the aspects that a lot of people in the company are most proud about is that it was built in Chile. A lot of the guests, normally they ask and they go about like, where did you build this ship? Did you build it in Norway? Did you build it somewhere in Europe? But it was actually built in the Senaf shipyards in Valdivia, using local talent and local resources. And since 2019, it has been the benchmark of Antarctic exploration for us and for the industry as well. I think you mentioned before that some of its key features related to our sustainability initiatives is the Mallorca software, which help identify efficiencies in the use of fuel during our operations. So by analyzing all the data that comes from navigation, from the use of fuel, it can detect opportunities to reduce its use and therefore have less impact. The other one that I like a lot, it's the heat recovery system, which uses the residual heat from the engines to power our heating and the hot water that people use for their showers, right? So heating the water as well. And that goes in hand with the reverse osmosis water system that, well, it's crazy that a ship this size can have such a system. So salt water gets transformed into fresh water that we can drink. There are water bottle stations on board the ship, throughout the ship actually. You'll find them along every corridor, every hole, and they have a counter mentioning the number of water bottles that have not been used because of that.
The plastic bottles
Exactly.
that we have saved, it's
Correctly.
amazing. Like no plastic bottles at all at the ship,
No, it's amazing. And then also the water that you're using for brushing your teeth, taking a shower, it's also coming from the ocean. So that's incredible. You were saying that to me like earlier that since last season, so normally these water bottles were given on board the ship. Like once you arrive to your cabin, it would be there waiting for you. well, actually, version of this one. This is for employees only. But nowadays, that's starting. That's changed, and now it's in Punta Arenas when you arrive to Explorers House that you get your bottle. So we're actually, contributing to let's say, save more water bottles. So yeah, like this is just an example. Of course, we could do a webinar just on our ships, and we'd have
probably.
to invite Claudio Bobadilla, our fleet director, so that we could nerd out on all of this. But I think these are some of the most relevant aspects of the ship that go in line with sustainability. And then you were saying that the Magellan Discover, the sister ship of the Explorer, which is in the final phases of its outfitting in Valdivia as well, and we will receive it during September, and there will be some activities related to its inauguration and some test trips, and then by mid-December it will start operating in Antarctica. And what the ship has taken is basically everything, just I wouldn't say that it's better than the Explorer, but it's just enhancing all the best features of the Explorer. And the most important or the most relevant one in this discussion would be its propulsion, right? It's the first hybrid electric ship built in the Americas, which is also a source of immense pride for the company. And what this means is that it has an engine that uses fuel, but it also has a battery that recharges as the ship moves. So at one point you can stop using the fuel engine and use that grid, saving fuel. And then one other aspect that you were very enthusiastic about were the azipods, that they can rotate 360 degrees, which also increases the fuel efficiency, but also has this beautiful aspect that it reduces underwater noise, right, Valerie?
Less noise and less vibration for the wildlife. So all the organizations, ONGs, or the scientifics, they are like very, because we said it before, if no one touches Antarctica ever again, the impacts of the rest of the world will be there. So it's amazing to have a lower impact on emissions, but it doesn't make the difference. But to have less impact on the noise and vibration, that can make a difference to wildlife. And well, the hybrid thing, it's funny because you said it's built also in Chile and Valdivia by ASENAF. So in fact, here in Chile, there's this sensation of proudness. Hey, there is talent here, Chilean engineers, Chilean talent, and they all think, when we have been in other activities with the community, they think, oh, hybrid, the first hybrid ship in America. So it's like the cars, like the hybrid cars. But then we explain, no, it's like you said, the lithium battery. So it conserves the energy and it can use it later. So it's practically, probably my grandfather could say, wow, like magic, and amazing technology. So this season, December, it's the first inaugural official trip. So
we're looking forward to it. We're very excited, and like you're saying, we all know by empiric evidence that cetaceans are very sensible to to the effect of ships and the noise that they produce. So mitigating this goes a long way into being a better operator. Yeah, and also the big learning we have a lab in the Explorer, so we take data for the science, but it's not so much, we have some limitations. So we have agreements through the foundation. I say we, but through the foundation we have agreements, and we also make this science on board, citizen science. We take samples, but we have limitations. So now we took the learning, and now this vessel has a wet lab. So that's amazing. Much more, much better lab, and that's amazing because there's 400 days of navigation that we can give to the science, data for the science.
data that normally they have to ask for a fund, and maybe they give a ship to them for 2 weeks, for example, but now they will have 400 days of data. So that's incredible. We have already like 6 agreements. One is with INACH, a national Chilean institute, Antarctic Institute, with also universities, and well, that's a big opportunity, and it's so great that the board and the partners, they had this vision. Okay, we're building a vessel, so it's already there, it's traveling. Let's use it somehow,
Exactly.
and let's make this
Have some impact on science as well.
Yeah, this
Right.
lab.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something that's gonna help improve or boost all of the initiatives related to science on board. It's just gonna give them a platform to make more and better work. Well, and related to the fuel usage, there is this initiative that it has been welcomed very dearly by our partners and guests, and it's the introduction of e-fuel in our Zodiac operations that has been ongoing for the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So, in your experience, well, you visited the pilot plant in Punta
Yeah.
Arenas.
Oh, and that's the beautiful thing. The pilot plant is in Punta Arenas. It's just a pilot plant. So now we are hoping this market also get bigger. But I was there. The plant is very interesting, and they are trying new things also. And the magical thing is, if you're in the Zodiac, you don't know what fuel you're using. It's exactly the same experience, the same velocity, noise, everything's the same. And the emissions are the same, but for producing the e-fuel, they used carbon. So that's why the effect is neutral. And, 2 years, as you said. And, it has been great, because we're the only Antarctic tourism company using e-fuels in this moment. And it's also a sign to the market. Maybe the volumes, you say, okay, it's just our Zodiacs and not 1,000 vessels in the world, but it shows you can do it. So it's a possibility, and let's go for that.
Yeah, the way I see it is that 23 years ago, the founders of the company decided to innovate in a new model. It took a while for people to get on board with it, but nowadays, there's 6 other companies that are doing the same. And now the mandate is also to increase to go into sustainability and how we can make our journeys, our trips more sustainable. So by taking such initiatives like e-fuel and hybrid propulsion systems, and let's see what comes next, I think it's also a way of inspiring others to do the same, to follow the same path, coming alongside for the ride. Let's move forward. And I think this installation, these facilities that Arctic Explorers House, our private Antarctic Expedition Center in Punta Arenas, it's one of the great benefits of traveling with Antarctica21.
Yeah, definitely.
It's where the trip starts before it actually starts. So when you arrive to Punta Arenas, day 1 of your air cruise, you go here, you take your outer layers, go to the biosecurity station, you attend your mandatory briefing in this beautiful amphitheater that we have on the 2nd floor. Then you have your welcome cocktail, welcome dinner, where you get to meet your fellow guests. And normally it is announced when the flight's going to take off the next day, depart the next day. But it's much more than that, right, Valerie?
Yeah.
And for us, it's also been an outlet to push towards sustainability and other initiatives.
Yeah. Explorer House was our opportunity to start sustainable from the beginning of the journey, because, it's our home, in Punta Arenas, and it's still all work in progress, because there's still a lot of things we can do, and every year we're improving. But we try to make it like a circular economy place, that works like this circular logica. because, for example, we have the solar panels, so the electricity, a lot of the electricity that is used is produced by solar panels. We also, in the roof, we collect rainwater. We have this rainwater collection, so the toilets are powered by this water. Also, it is a great heritage, this building. It was a patrimonial building in Magallanes. It has a lot of, the woods, the machinery from the times it was a place where they processed the wool. It's original, so the architect, they tried to conserve all what they could, so it's also a very beautiful building. And inside, also the spirit and the culture that the team lives with, all our way and the way we have been improving the relation to local providers, because the quality and the standard of Antarctica21 is the best. So it was not so.
It's non-negotiable.
It's not easy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not easy in Punta Arenas, because in Punta Arenas nothing grows. The weather is so difficult. So to just find local vegetables is so difficult. But there are some greenhouses. So the past years, the team, the purchase team and the Explorer Housing, they've been working on alliances to find new providers, local providers, to help them together to have the best products, best quality. So nowadays, almost all products and Explorer House are local. At the beginning, it wasn't so easy because of the quality. That wasn't a question, as you say. We cannot sacrifice quality. So, but now our providers are all. Most of them are local, and the team is also local. So it has been a very nice and beautiful journey of improving, evolving, and make it all every year more circular.
You could say that it's been a catalyst for good in the community in Punta Arenas, both for businesses and for as an employee mark.
Yeah, we have now alliances with Cercotec, for example. So we're trying to let's work with the suppliers so they can have the quantity also that we need, and etc. But for maybe another webinar, another time. But nice thing is, all the people, they share the spirit of sustainability. So, for example, in the garden, we have this furniture made by this recycled plastic of the bottles that we collect, and the same team, they made a little herbal greenhouse, in the Explorer House. It was made by our team, So it's also very. It's in the mindset of the.
I've seen some of those touches in the plates that you can have at Explorer's House. Some thyme, some rosemary. It's amazing that it comes, next door.
And this year, for the first time, we improved our waste management system. So it was more than 4 tons, I think, of an organic waste that we could recycle, but also more than 1 ton of organic waste. Wow. So we had this compost for every member of the team. We could give compost made in Explorer House. Also a candle made by our own oil, used oil. So it's like our heart beginning of. Yeah.
I've seen pictures of those plants growing. So it's a very significant experience, I think. Mm-hmm. All right. So as we're closing towards the end, I just wanted to wrap up some of the other initiatives that have helped us through this journey of sustainability, or are helping us. One of the key ones for our experience for the guests, it's supporting Antarctic science, Antarctic knowledge. Mm-hmm. You mentioned the foundation, which we'll talk in the next slide. But on the ships, we have this program called Antarctica21 Connect, right? And it's an educational program. It's led by our staff on board. So the expedition guides, they're normally experts of different fields. Mm-hmm. It can be biology, history, geography, exactly, oceanography. Yeah. So while you're not disembarking or out and about on the ship, there are lectures on board to help you bring perspective to what you're seeing. I told you earlier that when I went to Antarctica back in 2022, so February 2022, the Endurance, the ship, the wreckage from Ernest Shackleton hadn't been found yet. It was, people knew that it was in the Weddell Sea, but they didn't, they couldn't find it. And Kirsty Dick, our head of expedition staff back then, she was an expedition guide herself, and she was talking about it. And funny enough, and for me it was one of the most interesting lectures because I like history, and I like the story behind Shackleton. And a couple of months later, they found the ship, and for me it was very exciting, very emotional to link those two things together. So for our guests, it's the same. Depending on what your interest is, you'll be very engaged with all these lectures. You'll be learning a lot, not only about what you're seeing, but also about things that are part of your day-to-day life. So definitely something very significant about our experience. Well, you also mentioned citizen. Let me go back here. Citizen science as part of these alliances, agreements that we have, and this is hands-on science. So, while you're on board one of our ships, they'll announce, hey, so this is a citizen science boat. We'll be doing the Secchi disk today. We'll be doing happy whale, so identifying whale tails. So those things help support these programs. Like you were saying, we spend a significant amount of time in Antarctica, and by providing data to these initiatives, we're helping science being done. And last, onboard science, our labs, both on the Explorer and the wet lab on the Discover, are just going to help enhance all these initiatives that we already do on board, and provide a better platform for that purpose. So Antarctic science, Antarctic knowledge are at the core of sustainability to help make people ambassadors of the Antarctic and bring this to even more people, right? Help spread the word. Yeah. And within that, we have the Antarctica Foundation, which is a very special initiative, project, whatever you want to call it. And, I know that you're particularly attached to it and close to it, so I'm going to let you talk us through it.
Well, yeah, I think also the foundation has so many nice projects that we could be, now we're talking about foundation, but the foundation, well, I love the claim. The claim says a lot because it's explore to understand and protect. Because you don't really protect what you don't understand, and you have to explore and know and take the knowledge to really understand. So the foundation, the Antarctica21 Foundation, was born because we know it's very difficult to go to Antarctica. It's far away, it's expensive, it's difficult. So the people that found the foundation, some members of the board, Pedro Vega, our executive director of the foundation, they wanted to bring, and well, the president of our board, also the founder of Antarctica21, Jaime Vasquez. So they wanted to bring Antarctica to the people, Antarctica to the continent, because they know that a lot of people won't go. So through 3 pillars, how can they bring Antarctica to the people? Through education, science, and culture. So now the foundation has already 5 years. This has been existing and has a lot of programs. That's why we need another hour. But a lot of programs.
I think we'll bring Edgardo to a podcast just to talk about it.
Yeah. But nice programs. I just can mention, for example, Elan is this board game with the ecosystem of the Antarctica. So it's amazing to see in Punta Arenas and the rest of Chile. Now it will start again soon. Every year they have this contest, this board game, and the adolescents there, they are not on TV. They are all morning concentrated. Okay, the whale eats the krill, and who wins this contest, they can go to Antarctica for free. So amazing award. And so that's Elan. And also we have other programs, for example, Antarctic. Antarctic was launched last year, and we had 5 schools. Now we have 5 more schools, and Antarctic is for bringing also science, Antarctica knowledge, and it's a dynamic kit with different steps to kids from the schools, and amazing programs. There has been also cultural things like this theater show replicating all the endurance story. And now remember
exactly,
you told the endurance story to the people in Magallanes. A lot of people they just don't know, and all the science agreements, amazing agreements. So with very solid agreements. So the foundation for us is very important pillar also to work our S pillar. You know, I said
correct.
ESG. Social. Governance and environmental, social pillar, and the foundation also. It's like, well, it's the only foundation that has local impact, because there's 100,000 of foundations in the world and pro wildlife, etc. But this foundation is the only one with local impact here in the in this entrance to this getaway to Antarctica.
Exactly. I think, people have to remember, like, I'm sure that they see our website, the testimonials, reviews from guests, and they look at the ships, and, I think it goes underneath that we're a small private company from the end of the world, and initiatives like this are not common. Mm-hmm. Also, being pioneers of such a model. So it really is very significant for the local community, nationwide even, what's going on over here. So yeah, we're excited to, for the work that we're doing both at Antarctica21 as at the Antarctica21 Foundation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I now remembered that we are on time, and we have this not on the slides, but I think it's very important our audience to know the big news we have this year, this season, because, well, we are a private company, not a public company, so normally we don't have these reports, public reports. Now for the first time, we are publishing our sustainability report, our first sustainability report. So, well, it's great news for us. We had all this information, data, what we are doing, but it's different to formalize it, to systematically follow then the KPIs, the goals, to have GRI standards or SASB standards. We have a lot of standards, but it's different to align all the strategy to the globally known standards, the GRE, GRY, a lot of known standards. So, well, it's almost done. We are finishing last details. Probably in August, we will be having the official publishing of this report, so stay tuned, and I hope you all read it and watch it and share it. So we are excited about it.
I think that's super interesting, and it'll bring a new layer of understanding of what we do and where we're trying to go with sustainability at the core of our strategy. All right, so we're almost on time, so unfortunately we won't be able to answer some live questions, but we will be including in our follow-up email the most relevant ones that were sent during today's webinar. So yeah, I just wanted to thank you, Valerie, for being gracious enough to accept the invitation to talk about sustainability. I think it was a very brave exercise to come here and be transparent about what we do and where we're trying to go with this. First time that we do this, so yeah, I look forward to seeing you again, and also for everyone that joined today and took the time to listen to us talk about this.
Thank you, Renato, for the invitation, and thanks to everybody. And of course, we always have our channels open, and any questions that were maybe,
exactly,
we have the time, we are open to answer them, of course.
Exactly.
So thank you very much.
Bye. Have a good day.